Now, anything that we get a little bit compulsive to or we can't break a pattern of can be viewed as a sort of addiction. We look at any kind of label as a spectrum. Because of this, these upcoming skills can be helpful to everyone in some way. If you do have a difficult addiction that you are struggling with, I highly encourage that you get a support group and a therapist that is well vetted in your issue. I personally am well vetted in treating disordered eating and would love to help you on a one-on-one basis if that is something that you are suffering with. Please reach out via email so we can set up an appointment. There are 7 basic skills for addiction-related behavior. These include dialectical abstinence, clear mind, community reinforcement, burning bridges, building new bridges, alternative rebellion, and adaptive denial. These 7 skills focus on backing down from addiction. They can be remembered by starting at D and reciting the alphabet backwards. D, C, B, A. D, dialectical abstinence. C, clear mind and community reinforcement. B, burning bridges and building new bridges. A, alternative rebellion and adaptive denial. The definition of addiction is very broad and includes any repetitive behavior that an individual is unable to stop despite the negative consequences of the behavior and the person's best efforts to stop. Individuals may have more than one addiction, but it is usually most helpful to focus on one addiction at a time. Scientists have traditionally confined their use of the term addiction to substances that foster physical dependence. That's changing, however. New knowledge suggests, as far as the brain is concerned, reward is reward, regardless of whether it comes from a chemical or an experience. And where there's a reward, as in gambling, eating, sex, or shopping, there's a risk of getting trapped in a compulsion. Once people get addicted, the pleasure of addictive behavior may actually decrease, but the urge to engage in the addictive behavior will not only increase, but will intensify. At this point, the addictive behavior may become reinforced not by pleasure, but by relief from the intense and unpleasant urges. Some people say that when they engage in addictive behaviors, they feel normal again. In these cases, behavior that may have started with positive reinforcement, meaning it gave pleasure, comes to be maintained by negative reinforcement, meaning it stops unbearable distress. Clear mind is the next skill for addiction-related behaviors. Clear mind is the middle ground between the extremes of addict mind, being governed by an addiction, and clean mind, thinking that the problems of addiction are over and there is no need to worry. Clear mind is the safest place to be since it involves being clean and not engaging in addictive behavior while remaining vigilant about the temptations to do so. Let's talk about the 3 different minds. Addict mind is your state of mind when you have given into your addiction. You may have never tried to stop your addictive behavior, or you may have tried but relapsed. In addict mind, you are ruled by your addiction. Urges to engage in the addiction behavior govern your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. In addict mind, you are not trying to resist your addictive behavior, or when you are, the effort is half-hearted and ineffective. The danger of addict mind is that you are not engaging in any of the steps necessary to stop the addictive behavior. In addict mind, you are willing to do whatever is necessary to get the high that the addictive behavior gives you. You may lie, steal, hide, break promises, and deny that you are addicted. Clean mind occurs when you are clean and have not engaged in the problem behavior for a period of time, but you are oblivious to the dangers and temptations of relapsing. In clean mind, you may feel invincible in your fight against your addiction and immune to the temptation to engage in the addictive behavior ever again. The distortion of clean mind is believing that you don't have an addiction problem. The danger of clean mind is that you may not avoid temptations and addiction cues and fail to use relapse prevention strategies you have developed at another time. In clean mind, you lower your guard and defenses against urges. And so, when you are not prepared, they might hit. Clear mind represents a synthesis between clean mind and addict mind. In clear mind, you are clean, while at the same time, you stay aware of dangers of relapse and actively engage in behaviors to prevent a lapse or relapse. It is the safest place to be. Clear mind is very similar to wise mind when addiction is involved. Overcoming addiction is like fighting a long war against urges to engage in addictive behavior. The urges win a battle when you end up doing the addictive behavior, and you win when, despite the urge's attacks on you, you don't do the addictive behavior. Clean mind is forgetting the war once a few battles are over. It's thinking that because you repel your urges a few times, they will not come back, or if they do, they will be easy to repel. When you are in clean mind, you don't prepare for battle and your defenses are down. Urges can catch you unprepared and win. Addict mind is like being under siege by the urges and believing you can never repel them again. When you are in addict mind, you don't remember your victories. When you are defeated, you don't regroup and fight back. Clear mind is remembering both your victories and your defeats, fighting with all your might and staying prepared for battle even when you aren't experiencing urges. Behavior characteristics of addict mind include engaging in addictive behavior, glamorizing addiction, stealing to pay for addictive behaviors, lying, hiding and isolating, stealing, not making eye contact with people, avoiding doctors, therapists, or people or groups that can help you, and so on. Behavior characteristics of clean mind include thinking you have learned your lesson and do not have to worry anymore about the addiction. Going into environments where others engage in addictive behaviors. Seeing or living with people who have your addictions. Acting as if all you need to get over addictions is willpower. Isolating yourself, and so on. Apparently irrelevant behaviors are common in clean mind. These are actions to take you closer to engaging in addictive behavior. They are steps towards addictive behaviors. On the surface, they look reasonable and unrelated to addiction, but collectively, they help set up a slip back into the addictive behaviors. They're usually based on not thinking about your behavior and its consequences, on flat-out denial, or on delusion. You are currently abstinent from alcohol. You have a craving for a hamburger and you decide to go out to dinner at the corner bar where they have really good hamburgers. Half of the problem is not the first behavior, but rather a multiple set of behaviors in a sequence, all of which bring you closer to an overwhelming cue for addictive behavior. Clear mind behaviors are abstinent and vigilant for temptation. You are actually aware that without skills, intense urges can return at any moment. Our next skill for addiction-related behaviors is community reinforcement. Community reinforcement focuses on restructuring the environments. This will reinforce abstinence instead of addiction. Unfortunately, the immediate reinforcement of an emotional high or emotional relief that an addictive behavior provides has a stronger effect on the delayed aversive consequences, such as the remorse, guilt, or depression. This is why the addiction is maintained. As addictive behaviors increase, other activities such as community involvement, social activities, or sports decrease, and isolation increases. When this happens, the addictive behavior becomes more and more associated with the immediate reinforcing consequences and becomes stronger and more entrenched. Stopping addictive behaviors requires replacing addiction reinforcers with abstinence reinforcers. This is because willpower is not sufficient to change behavior. It requires making a lifestyle without the addictive behavior more rewarding than a lifestyle with the addictive behavior. You can search for people to spend time with who are not addicted. You can increase the number of pleasant activities you engage in that do not involve your addiction. If you cannot decide what addiction-free people or activities you like, sample a lot of different groups of people and a lot of different activities. Stay away from other addicts who are uncomfortable with you if you are not also engaging in addictive behavior. Teach your non-addictive loved ones about reinforcement. Ask them to be vigilant for when you appear to be abstinent and give you lots of reinforcing comments or other things they have available that could function as reinforcers. The following strategy is designed for people who do not have many potential reinforcers for abstinence in their lives, and people who already have most of the things that could be used as reinforcers. Usually people with a lot of money or people who are so poor that they cannot add anything reinforcing to their lives. First, you deprive yourself of something important that you would work hard to get back. Then you give it back to yourself as a reward if you engage in the behavior you want to reinforce. Decide on 3 things in your life that you really like, but that you could deprive yourself of for a week if you really had to. Could be coffee, carrying cash or credit cards. Could be wearing jewelry, texting or calling others on the phone, watching TV, etc. In the first week, deprive yourself of 1 item for a week. The next week, for each day you are abstinent, give yourself item 1 the day after. Then deprive yourself of a second item. In week 3, for each day you are abstinent, you give yourself back item number 2 the day after. Deprive yourself of a third item. And week 4, for each day you are abstinent, you give yourself back item 2 and 3 the day after you deprive yourself of item 1 again for a week. You continue to repeat the sequence. This is not a punishment system, but a reinforcement system. The consequences have to be big enough that you would actually work hard to get them if you couldn't get whatever you are being deprived of. When your absence motivation starts to drop off, review your plan for dialectical abstinence and review your pros and cons for abstinence versus addictive behavior. Abstinence sampling is deciding to try abstinence to see what it is like and to see if there are any benefits if you abstain. This is like doing a personal experiment. You do not have to commit for the long term until you see how it goes. Although the short-term emotional high and relief of addiction will not be there, neither will be the terrible consequences of addictive behavior. You can commit to a specific number of days to sample what it would be like to live without addictive behavior. To get through abstinence sampling, implement your dialectical abstinence plan. Observe all extra positive events occurring when you are not engaging in addictive behavior.